Hello gentle listeners, and welcome back to episode 19 of Whispers of the Past. Today, we're journeying back into the ancient world of Mesopotamian mythology to explore the story of Enlil, a figure whose influence shaped not only the spiritual framework of one of humanity's first great civilization, but also their understanding of the cosmos itself. Enlil was no mere deity among many. He was a god of immense power, complex nature, and pivotal importance. A god whose reach extended from the heavens to the depths of the earth, influencing every aspect of mortal and divine existence. Enlil's name, often translated as Lord Wind or Lord of the Command, reflects the duality at the heart of his being. To the Mesopotamians, the wind was both a blessing and a curse. It carried the rains that nourished their crops and sustained life, yet it could also summon destructive storms that flattened cities and brought death. Enlil embodied this paradox. He was the breath of life and the force of destruction, the gentle breeze that whispered through the fields and the tempest that tore them apart. His dual nature was not merely symbolic, but deeply ingrained in how the Mesopotamians perceived the world. A delicate balance of creation and chaos, order and disorder, with Enlil at its center. One of Enlil's most significant roles in Mesopotamian mythology was as the cosmic separator, the one who divided heaven from earth. In the mythological narrative, before creation, the universe was a boundless, formless void where heaven and earth were fused together. Enlil's act of separation was the first step in bringing order to chaos. By establishing the boundaries between the divine and mortal realms, he created the conditions necessary for life to flourish. This act wasn't just a moment of creation, it was a declaration of cosmic law. Enlil's division of heaven and earth laid the foundation for the natural world, giving rise to rivers, mountains, and fertile plains where humanity could thrive. Yet, Enlil's influence extended far beyond the physical world. His authority over cosmic order made him a central figure in maintaining the social and moral fabric of Mesopotamian society. His divine rulership was seen as the template for earthly kingship. Just as Enlil maintained balance in the cosmos, kings were expected to uphold justice, protect their people, and ensure the prosperity of their lands. This relationship between the divine and mortal spheres is vividly illustrated in the myth of the creation of the hoe, where Enlil, recognizing the necessity of agriculture for human survival, invents the hoe, the tool that symbolizes both creation and control. By breaking the earth with the hoe, he transforms the wild, untamed land into a cultivated, fertile space. Through this act, Enlil not only provides humanity with the means to sustain themselves, but also asserts his dominion over the natural world. However, as with all things associated with Enlil, the creation of the hoe is not without its darker implications. The same tool that nurtures life by enabling agriculture also becomes a symbol of division, of the separation between the wild and the tamed, the mortal and the divine. This duality reflects a recurring theme in Enlil's mythology, that creation and destruction, life and death, are two sides of the same coin. It is a reminder that the gifts of the gods, while essential, often come with consequences that humanity must navigate with reverence and caution. Enlil's capacity to bestow favor and protection upon mortals is further exemplified in the myth of Lugalbanda in the mountain cave. In this epic tale, Lugalbanda, a future king of Uruk, is left for dead by his companions in a desolate mountain cave. Facing certain death, Lugalbanda turns to the gods, including Enlil, for salvation. Though Enlil does not appear directly, it is through his divine influence that Lugalbanda finds the strength to survive, ultimately transforming from a vulnerable mortal into a hero of legendary stature. This story underscores the belief that divine favor, particularly from a god as powerful as Enlil, was essential for the legitimacy and success of rulers. It also highlights the Mesopotamian view of kingship as a sacred duty, one that requires the constant support and guidance of the gods. Now, let me tell you the story. Far from the bustling walls of Uruk, across the barren plains and into the foreboding Zagros mountains, marched King Enmerkar and his mighty army. Their mission was clear: to conquer the distant and opulent city of Aratta, a land of gold, gemstones, and divine favor. Among the soldiers was a Lugal Banda, a young warrior of noble birth, whose name, though not yet famous, carried the quiet promise of future greatness. For days, the army climbed higher into the rugged mountains, their bodies weary from the unrelenting march. The sun seared their backs during the day, and the icy winds of the mountains chilled them to the bone at night. Food grew scarce, and even the most hardened warriors began to feel the strain. It was during one such grueling ascent the Lugal Banda's strength began to fail him. At first, there was a slight fever, a heaviness in his limbs that he attributed to exhaustion, but by the third day, the fever raged within him like an unquenchable fire. His legs trembled with every step, and his breath came in ragged gasps. The army could not stop for one man, no matter how noble or brave. Enmerkar, though a king who valued loyalty, knew the campaign could not be delayed. The mountains were perilous, filled with wild beasts and treacherous paths, and any delay would risk the army's defeat. Reluctantly, the soldiers carried Lugal Banda as far as they could, hoping he might recover with time. But when they reached a desolate cave deep within the mountains, it became clear that he could go no further. "We must leave him," said one warrior, his voice filled with sorrow. "He will not survive another day of this journey. If we carry him, we all may perish." Enmerkar nodded solemnly. "We cannot abandon our mission. Let us leave food and water. If the gods will it, Lugal Banda will survive. If not, he will join them in the afterlife." And so they left him, alone in a cold, dark cave, with only the wind's mournful howl for company. Lugal Banda, fevered and weak, lay on the cold stone floor, his body racked with pain. He could feel life slipping away, like water through his fingers. In the crushing silence of the cave, despair crept into his heart. But Lugal Banda was not one to surrender easily. He knew that in this world, no mortal could hope to survive alone, not without the favor of the gods. Summoning the last of his strength, Lugal Banda lifted his gaze to the cave's jagged ceiling and whispered a prayer. His voice, though weak, carried the fervor of a man desperate for salvation. "Great Enlil, Lord of wind and storm, ruler of the earth below and the sky above, hear my plea," he murmured, his breath shallow. "I am but a humble servant, abandoned and forgotten in this desolate place. Grant me your favor, mighty one, and I shall honor you for all my days. Let me rise from this cave as a man reborn, stronger and wiser, to serve my people and my king." Though the cave remained silent, Lugal Banda believed his words had been carried on the wind to the ears of Enlil, the unseen ruler of the cosmos. Lugal Banda drifted into a restless sleep, his body shivering from fever. As he lay between life and death, a strange presence filled the cave. The whispering wind stirred the stagnant air and caressed his fevered skin. It was no ordinary breeze. It carried with it a sense of calm and power, as if the very breath of Enlil had descended upon the cave. In the depths of his fevered dreams, Lugal Banda saw visions of the god, not as a man, but as a force of nature. He saw the wind sweeping across the plains, bending trees and shaping rivers. He saw storms that tore through cities, but left fertile lands in their wake. And in these visions, Lugal Banda understood. Enlil's power was both destructive and life-giving, and those who earned his favor could wield that power to overcome any trial. When Lugal Banda awoke, the fever had broken. His limbs, once weak and trembling, were now steady and strong. The aches that had crippled him were gone, replaced by a newfound vitality. He rose from the cold floor of the cave, feeling as if the very breath of life had been restored to him. Alone in the vast wilderness of the mountains, Lugal Banda faced a daunting task: to find his way back to his comrades. But he was no longer the same man who had been left behind. With each step, he felt the guiding presence of Enlil. The wind, once a force of indifference, now seemed to whisper in his ear, leading him through treacherous paths and away from hidden dangers. Days passed and Lugal Banda traversed the rugged landscape with a determination that bordered on the supernatural. He found water in hidden springs, food in the form of wild berries, and game that seemed to appear just at the right moment. Each night he gazed to the stars, offering silent thanks to Enlil, whose unseen hand had delivered him from death. At last, Lugal Banda emerged from the mountains, weary but alive. He rejoined Enmakar and the army of Uruk, who marveled at his return. "Surely the gods have favored you," they said in awe. "No mortal man could have survived such a trial." The story of Lugal Banda's survival spread quickly through the ranks of the army, and, eventually, back to Uruk. No longer was he seen as a mere soldier. He had become a symbol of divine favor, a man chosen by Enlil himself. His courage and resilience in the face of death earned him the respect of his comrades and the admiration of his king. In time, Lugal Banda would ascend to the throne of Uruk, becoming one of its most revered kings, a ruler whose legitimacy was unquestioned, for it was said that the wind of Enlil had carried him from the brink of death to the heights of glory. His reign would be marked by prosperity and peace, as the blessings of Enlil followed him throughout his life. Thus, the tale of Lugal Banda in the mountain cave became a testament to the power of divine favor and the strength of the human spirit. It reminded the people of Mesopotamia that even in the darkest moments, the gods watch over them, ready to lift those who were worthy from despair to greatness. Another myth that sheds light on Enlil's multifaceted nature is the dispute between summer and winter. In this allegorical tale, Enlil serves as a judge between two opposing forces of nature: the warm, fertile season of summer and the cold, barren months of winter. Each season presents its case, arguing its importance in maintaining the balance of the world. Enlil, embodying wisdom and impartiality, listens carefully and delivers a judgment that ensures harmony between the two. This myth emphasizes Enlil's role as an arbiter of balance, not only in the natural world, but also in the moral and social realms. His ability to mediate between opposing forces reinforces his image as a god, who upholds the equilibrium necessary for life to endure. Perhaps the most complex and revealing of Enlil's myths is the story of Enlil and Enlil. Set in Nippur, the city over which Enlil reigned supreme, this tale explores themes of desire, transgression, and redemption. When Enlil encounters Ninlil, the goddess of grain and fertility, bathing in the sacred river, he is overcome by desire and initiates a union that defies the boundaries of divine contact. This act leads to his temporary banishment by the assembly of gods, a rare moment where even the mightiest of deities is held accountable for his actions. During his exile in the underworld, Enlil continues to interact with Ninlil in various disguises, fathering several important deities, including Nana, the moon god, and Ninazu, a god associated with the underworld. The birth of these deities signifies the continuation of cosmic order, even in the face of transgression. Nana, in particular, plays a crucial role in maintaining the rhythms of time through the lunar cycle, linking Enlil's actions to the perpetual motion of the cosmos. This story highlights the resilience of divine order and the idea that, even in exile, Enlil's creative power cannot be extinguished. His ability to operate from the shadows and influence the world from afar underscores the depth of his authority and the complexity of his character. Enlil's capacity for wrath and retribution is vividly portrayed in the myth of the Curse of Agade. When Naram Sin, the ambitious king of the Akkadian Empire, desecrates Enlil's temple in Nippur, he invokes the god's fury, In response, Enlil unleashes a devastating curse upon Edgade, bringing famine, drought, and chaos to the once prosperous city. This tale serves as a stark reminder of the consequences of defying divine authority and violating sacred spaces. It also reinforces Enlil's role as a protector of divine order, a god who demands respect and punishes those who dare to challenge the boundaries he has set. The reverence for Enlil was not confined to myths alone, but was also reflected in the rituals and festivals dedicated to him. The Akitu festival, celebrated annually in Nippur, was a grand ceremony that honoured Enlil's role as a cosmic mediator. During this festival, priests reenacted key myths, offered sacrifices, and performed rituals to ensure the continued favour of Enlil. These ceremonies were not merely acts of worship, but also a reaffirmation of the bond between the divine and mortal realms, a bond that Enlil, as the Lord of Air and Earth, embodied. Through his myths and rituals, Enlil emerges as more than just a storm god or king of gods. He is a complex, multifaceted figure who embodies the paradoxes of existence: creation and destruction, mercy and wrath, order and chaos. His stories offer a profound insight into how the ancient Mesopotamians understood the world and their place within it. As we conclude our exploration of Enlil, we are reminded of the enduring power of these ancient myths. They are more than just tales from a distant past. They're a reflection of humanity's eternal quest to understand the forces that shape our lives. Thank you for listening to this week's episode. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, then please share it with your friends, and send me a review or suggestions for future episodes to whispersofthepastreviews@gmail.com. Until next time, gentle listeners, may the whispers of the past continue to guide your path towards discovery. Farewell for now.